The terminal buzzed with reunion hugs and camera flashes, but all of that was white noise to Ethan as he stood gripping his daughter's hand, eyes locked on the arrival's gate. The thick Chicago air felt heavier than usual that day. Next to him, his 10-year-old daughter, Lily, held a glittery, hand-drawn sign that said in crooked lettering, "Welcome home, and Aunt Marie." Ethan's jaw clenched. He hadn't been able to sleep the night before. Not because he missed his wife, Ava, but because something had begun gnawing inside him ever since she left 2 weeks ago for his sister's beach trip to Cancun. He should have been excited. 2 weeks without worrying if the kids were fed on time, or if his wife's mood would snap like dry twigs under his efforts. But instead, he had counted the days like a condemned man crossing lines on a prison wall. When Ava finally appeared, she looked radiant. Her sun-kissed skin glowed like polished bronze. She wore a white flowing dress that clung perfectly to her slim figure, hair tied up in a casual bun that framed her cheekbones, features he used to trace with his fingertips in bed. Lily ran ahead and jumped in her mother's arms. Ava spun her daughter in circles, laughing like a woman with no weight on her shoulders. Ethan watched her laugh, but something was off. That laugh. It wasn't the one she used with him anymore. She kissed Lily on the cheek, and then turned to Ethan with a flirtatious smirk that used to melt him. She leaned in, lips brushing his ear, her breath warm with coconut rum. "Tonight," she whispered, "I want to show you just how much I missed you." He nodded, but he didn't kiss her back. That night, while the kids slept, Ava emerged from the bathroom wearing a coral bikini with thin straps. She looked like a fantasy, tan lines sharp, curves more defined than ever. Ethan remembered her insecurities from years ago. Too thin, flat-chested, not curvy enough. He had always reassured her, always made her feel seen, always loved her through every phase of herself. But tonight, all he could feel was distance. She climbed into bed, draped herself over him. "Say something," she whispered. He stared at her. "Your tan lines are perfect," he said. Ava paused. "You're not excited?" "I'm tired," he lied. He turned away. That night, Ava fell asleep curled against him while Ethan stared into the dark, his mind spinning. What was it? What exactly was it that had triggered this feeling? Then it hit him. The rings. She had taken off both her wedding and engagement rings before the trip and hadn't worn them in any of the vacation photos she sent. When he asked why, she said she forgot them at home. But when she cleaned the bathroom yesterday, she rolled up her sleeves, put on gloves, and, instinctively, still removed the rings first before scrubbing, as she always did. Ethan hadn't said anything. He simply stood behind her in the hallway, watching her carefully avoid eye contact. That evening, he didn't touch her. He didn't kiss her. And when she asked why, he muttered, "Just feeling sick. I think I'll sleep on the couch for a few days." She brought him chamomile tea. He didn't drink it. Instead, while she slept soundly upstairs, he installed key-logging software on their home computer. For the next week, Ethan didn't confront her. He smiled. He kissed her on the forehead. He did the dishes, took the kids to school, even made her favorite Thai curry from scratch. But every night, he checked the logs. Every day, he collected digital footprints. The truth revealed itself slowly. A hidden Gmail account, Beachmoon 1979. A password, a combination of their children's birth dates. A man, Ryan Cole, 41, from Detroit. Married. Father of 3. Daily flirty exchanges. Inside jokes. Secrets. Plans. They'd met at a beach bar the first day. They had sex the second. She called him my spark. She told him he made her feel alive again. They planned to meet next in New York. Ava told Ethan she wanted to take Lily on a girls' shopping weekend, but it was a lie. Ethan forwarded the entire email chain to himself, deleted all logs, and sat in the dark. He stared at their wedding photo on the wall. She looked so in love. He looked so sure. He stood up, walked to the kitchen, poured himself a drink, and made the decision that would change everything. He wasn't going to yell. He wasn't going to plead. He was going to ruin them. Ethan didn't move too fast. That was the key. Rage was easy. Destruction was even easier. But dismantling a cheater's world piece by piece without her ever seeing the knife, that required art, patience, and above all, a cold, quiet fire burning steady in the chest. By the third day after discovering the emails, Ethan had every breadcrumb. Ava's emails to Ryan were laced with details. Where they'd meet, what she'd wear, and how she'd fake a mother-daughter spa retreat for Lily so she could slip away to Manhattan for a weekend of lies. She wasn't even discreet. She'd booked the suite under a fake name, but used Ethan's joint credit card for the plane tickets. That's how sure she was that he'd never suspect her. That's how little she thought of him now. Ethan made 2 calls that morning. One to his friend Marcus, an ex-cop turned private investigator, and the other to Owen, Ava's father. "Are you busy this weekend?" Ethan asked Owen with a calmness that even surprised himself. "Not really. Why, you planning something?" "Yeah," Ethan said. "A little family reunion. In Manhattan. You, me, the kids. I think we need to surprise your daughter." There was silence. Then Owen spoke, slow and gravelly. "Ethan, what's going on?" Ethan took a breath. "She's cheating." More silence. "How sure are you?" "I've seen everything. Photos, emails, details. Every kiss, every moan, every word." Owen's voice cracked. "God, Ava was never raised to be like this." "I know. That's why I need your help. I'm not just exposing her. I want her to feel it. Deep." Owen cleared his throat. "I'm in." And just like that, the team was set. That night, Ethan cooked dinner like everything was normal. Ava wore a silky red nightgown and laughed a little louder than usual at dinner with the kids. As if overcompensating for a guilt he could almost smell on her. She was affectionate. Too affectionate. She rubbed his shoulders while he washed dishes. Kissed him behind the ear when he sat down to check emails. He pretended to be tired and yawned, pulling away gently. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Work's been rough." "Well, maybe I can help," she said, slipping onto his lap. Ethan looked up at her, his voice soft. "How's Ryan?" She froze. "What?" I said. Ethan smiled faintly. "How's Ryan? Your spark, right?" Ava slid off his lap like she'd been struck. "What are you talking about?" "Emails. Pictures. Hotel reservations under the name Melinda Hart. That's not even creative, Ava. You went through my—" "No," he cut her off. "I didn't go through anything. You gave it all away. The tan lines. The passwords. The weird shift in your scent when you got back. Do you even realize how different you are? You laugh like a stranger now." I can explain. "I'm sure you can," he said, standing up. "But I don't want explanations. I want you to pack a bag. You're leaving." Her mouth opened. Closed. She reached for his arm. "Ethan, please. We can fix this. I made a mistake. It meant nothing." "No, it meant everything," he said, his voice colder than glass. "Because it shattered everything." She dropped to the floor, sobbing. But Ethan didn't yell. He didn't shout or curse. He turned off the lights and walked upstairs. The next morning, he told the kids, "Mommy's going away for a little while. She needs space. But we'll be fine, all right." Lily nodded. David just looked confused. Ava stayed in a hotel for 3 nights. She begged to come back. But Ethan said nothing. He was already preparing for New York. By Thursday morning, Ava texted him, "I'm going with Lily to New York for the spa weekend. I know you're still angry, but please let me do this for her. She doesn't deserve to be caught in this." Ethan smiled at the phone. So she was still lying. Still pretending this trip was about her daughter when the hotel reservation was for 2 adults, no children. He texted back, "Sure. Enjoy." On Friday morning, Ava left with Lily. Except she never reached the spa. She sent Ethan a selfie of her in front of a hotel, standing alone. What she didn't know was that Marcus was already inside. Cameras were already rolling, and Ryan had arrived 20 minutes before her. Ethan had booked the suite next door. He wasn't going to watch the footage live. He didn't need to see more. He just needed proof. By Saturday, Marcus delivered the footage. Ava in bed, Ryan kissing her neck, voices whispering, "I miss your mouth. You feel like heaven." You're not going back to him, are you? Ethan didn't cry watching it. He just let the silence fill him. He closed the laptop and prepared for Sunday. They landed in Chicago Sunday night. Ava looked radiant again, refreshed, relaxed. She kissed the kids, looked Ethan in the eyes, and whispered, "Thank you for trusting me." It meant a lot. Ethan smiled softly and replied, "Of course. Family first." But in his hand, his phone buzzed. Marcus had sent the timestamps. Everything had been synced. Sunday morning would be Judgment Day. He invited Ava's entire family over for brunch. He told them it was to celebrate their upcoming wedding anniversary. She beamed with pride. "I want to thank Ava," Ethan said, raising a glass, "for being my partner, my best friend. My world. She smiled, holding back tears. And because I love her so much, Ethan added, I want to show everyone just how amazing her weekend spa retreat was. The TV turned on behind him. Everyone turned. And Ava's face collapsed. There, on screen, grainy hotel room footage. Kissing. Moaning. Clothing on the floor. Her voice. Ryan's voice. Her sister gasped. Her father stood up, trembling. The kids were quickly escorted out. Ava dropped her wine glass. It shattered on the hardwood floor. And for the first time since this all began, Ethan walked away. Ava didn't chase Ethan that morning. She didn't scream, didn't plead, not in front of her family. But her face, flushed and twisted with disbelief, said everything. It was the expression of a woman whose world had just cracked open and didn't yet know how far the quake would travel. She thought she could hide her affair behind a curtain of half-truths and soft lies. But now everyone knew. Her father, stoic Owen, refused to look at her after Ethan's revelation. He didn't yell. He simply picked up his jacket and told her, I raised a better woman than this. Or at least I thought I did. He left without another word. Her sister Mia didn't hug her goodbye, just gathered the children into her car and said, You're lucky they didn't see it. You're even luckier Ethan still let you walk out the door. And Ethan? He was already gone. Ava called him that evening. 10 times. Then 15. Then from a blocked number. Ethan didn't answer a single call. He forwarded the footage to his lawyer. Within 72 hours, divorce papers were drafted, filed, served. He made sure they arrived at Ava's workplace, an upscale boutique PR firm where image was everything. The documents were delivered by courier at 11:02 a.m., right when Ava was leading a weekly strategy meeting. Miss Walker, the man asked, stepping into the boardroom. Yes, she answered, confused. He handed her a folder. You've been served. Then, in full view of her stunned co-workers, he walked out. She didn't return to work that day. She didn't return to any sense of normal. The house, his house, legally inherited from his parents, was quiet now. Ethan had changed the locks. Ava's things were boxed and waiting in the garage. The kids didn't ask too many questions. Lily had begun sleeping with a nightlight again. David stopped talking at dinner. Ethan didn't lie to them. He didn't sugarcoat it either. Your mom made a big mistake, he told them, voice steady. It doesn't mean she doesn't love you, but she hurt our family, and now we have to take care of each other. David nodded slowly. Lily just whispered, Are we still a family? Ethan hugged her so tight, she started crying. Yes, he said. We are. But the storm hadn't passed. It had only begun. Ava showed up 2 weeks later. Not at the door, but outside the school gates. She was waiting by the playground fence. When Ethan pulled up to pick the kids, he saw her. Sunglasses, scarf, too much makeup, standing under the shade like a ghost of herself. Lily spotted her and ran. Ava dropped to her knees, sobbing, holding her daughter like a lifeline. David walked past her, straight to the car. Ethan got out. We're not doing this here, he said sharply. I need to talk to you. Please, Ethan. No, you need to talk to your lawyer. I'm sorry, she shouted. Don't do this. Don't take them away from me. I made one mistake. You didn't make one mistake, he snapped. You made 100 of them. In emails. In beds. In lies. Don't insult both of us by pretending this was one moment of weakness. I didn't mean to fall in love with him, she blurted. The moment she said it, her face paled. Ethan stared at her, stunned, not because of her admission, but because for the first time, she'd told the actual truth. You fell in love with him, he repeated. She covered her mouth. I'm sorry, she whispered. He didn't respond. He simply turned around and walked to the car, leaving her sobbing in the school parking lot. From there, Ava spiraled. She tried everything. The guilt angle. I was broken, Ethan. You were always working. I felt invisible. The nostalgia angle. Remember our honeymoon? Remember what we used to be. The kids' angle. They need their mother. And then, when all else failed, the destruction angle. She threatened to take the kids. Said she'd fight him in court. Said he was emotionally distant. Cold. Unfit. Said she had proof he'd been abusive in the past. That was when Ethan smiled. Because she didn't know what he'd done. She didn't know about the second camera in the hotel lobby, showing her laughing, hand in hand with Ryan. She didn't know about the audio tapes. She didn't know that Ethan had quietly begun working with one of her old college friends, Julia, a woman Ava had cut off years ago over a petty argument. Julia worked in HR compliance. And she knew the truth about Ava's office flings. Long before Ryan. 1, maybe 2, during company retreats. Ethan didn't want to use it, but Ava pushed. So he let the evidence trickle to the firm's internal board, to the divorce judge, and finally, to Ryan's wife. It was a slow, methodical collapse. First, Ava lost her job. Then she lost Ryan, who ghosted her the second his wife found out and froze all his accounts. Then the court awarded Ethan primary custody. And finally, the judge awarded Ethan exclusive rights to the house and denied Ava any spousal support. She had brought in less than 15% of the household income. She was found at fault for marital dissolution. Her savings were frozen in the joint account. She had no alibi, no defense, no one to stand by her. By the time the ink dried on the divorce decree, Ava was living in a friend's guest room, borrowing clothes, and driving a used Honda her father bought her in embarrassment. And Ethan? He was still quiet, still patient, still steady. But beneath that calm was a man who had learned to bleed quietly, who had weaponized grace as a weapon more brutal than rage. He hadn't screamed. He hadn't hit. He had simply removed her from his life. Like a tumor. Surgically. Entirely. 3 months passed. Ava's world had gone quiet. Too quiet. Her calls went unanswered. Her emails bounced back. Ethan had blocked every number, every route she tried. The kids barely spoke during their weekends with her. She tried to win them back with gifts and smiles. But children can sense things. And they could sense who broke their home. One rainy Friday, she showed up at Ethan's new apartment uninvited. She looked thinner, worn down, her makeup smudged like she'd been crying all night. "I just want 5 minutes," she said, her voice trembling. Ethan didn't say a word. He stepped aside and let her in. She stood in the middle of the living room like she didn't know what to do. "You win," she said quietly. "You got everything. The kids. The house. My job's gone. Ryan vanished. I lost everything." Ethan leaned against the wall. "No, Ava. You gave it away. I just accepted the return." Her eyes welled. "I didn't come to fight. I came to say I'm sorry. And to ask you if there's still a chance." He raised an eyebrow. "Chance? I miss you," she whispered. "The real you. Not the man who tore me down, but the man who used to hold me at night and protect me from everything. I was wrong. I know it. But we were us. Doesn't that mean something?" For a long second, Ethan didn't respond. Then he walked over to his desk and pulled out a small black box. He held it up. "I used to carry this everywhere," he said. "For 15 years, I kept your wedding ring in this when I took it off. On flights. In hospitals. Even during gym workouts. I never once forgot to put it back on." He opened the box. "Empty. I sold it," he said, "along with the love I had for you." Ava gasped softly. "There is no us, Ava. Just memories I've learned to stop missing." She wiped her face, shaking. "I deserve that," she said. "But I still love you." Ethan nodded slowly. "Then let that love teach you something." He opened the door. Without another word, she walked out. And this time, she didn't come back. It had been 6 months since Ethan closed the door on Ava for the final time. The wounds hadn't vanished, but they had hardened into scars. Clean ones. The kind you earn from surviving fire without letting it destroy your soul. He'd settled into a rhythm now. Early mornings with the kids, breakfast before school, quiet dinners at the small dining table. There was laughter again. Not the kind forced through clenched teeth, but the real kind. Messy, honest, healing. David had started calling him bro again. Lily drew him a picture that said, "My dad is my hero." That one stayed, taped to the fridge. Ava's visits had become short and quiet. The court-ordered ones. She tried to be warm, but the kids were cautious. They'd learned not every smile meant safety. She still sent long emails sometimes, saying she missed being a family, that she was trying to become better. Ethan never replied. Some stories didn't need a sequel. One morning, while clearing out old boxes in storage, Ethan found a dusty envelope tucked inside an old jacket pocket. His handwriting. A note he'd written to himself 10 years ago. Protect her. Forgive her. Always believe in her. He stared at it for a long moment. Then, without ceremony, he lit a match and let it burn in the kitchen sink. He had protected her. Forgiven her, even. But he no longer believed in her. And that was okay. Because he believed in himself now. Weeks later, while at a local fundraiser for single parents, Ethan ran into someone unexpected. Julia, the college friend who had helped expose Ava's history. She was there volunteering, hair tied back, smile brighter than he remembered. They talked for an hour, then two. Then coffee turned into brunch, and brunch into casual walks that didn't need forced conversation. He didn't rush it, didn't chase anything, but something about Julia felt honest, safe. She didn't try to impress. She didn't wear a mask. She saw his past and didn't flinch. She respected the silence when it showed up. That was enough. For now. Then came Ava's final message. A handwritten letter, left in Lily's school bag. You were right. I destroyed what I couldn't even understand. You gave me everything, and I repaid it with lies. I hope you're happy, Ethan. Truly. Because even if I can't ever come back, I'm finally learning what it means to lose the one person who would have stayed through anything, except betrayal. Ethan folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. He didn't hate her, but he didn't love her anymore either. She had been his lesson. Julia? She might just be his peace. And this time, he wasn't rushing to call anything love. He was just letting the world breathe around him, with the kids laughing in the background, and the weight finally off his chest.